everyone. So listen, I have a very unique story to tell you. I want you to be encouraged because I want you to know that God is looking out for you. He's looking out for your well-being. Your time will come. No matter what you're waiting on, whatever you've been praying about and waiting on God to do, your time will come. I'm going to tell you how I got my first job. Let me tell you how good God is. My very first job out of college, I had applied for this job, hadn't got any calls back, hadn't got anything. It had been over a year and I got nothing. My father had just died, and so I was applying for all these jobs, We had this guy that came to our church. My degree was in sociology, so, that could be a variety of things, but I wanted to do casework and really help people. And so my mother was the pastor of the church at this time because my father had just passed away. So we had this guy that came to our church, and he was slightly, the term now is intellectually disabled, but they used to call it MR back in the day. So he was just, slightly disabled intellectually, just a little bit, but it was enough. And so he came to our church, and what happened was he got to acting up. He was in a group home, and he got to acting up real bad, and they, this was against the law, but they put out a disabled person on the street. Yes. The facility kicked him out. And it happened to be in a really bad neighborhood of all things where a lot of drugs was going on. And anything could happen to that young man. And yes, his family should have sued them, but they didn't. So anyway, so they kicked him out on the street where he was wandering the street. He didn't even know where he was. He wasn't from there, And so he saw one of the ladies' daughter that goes to our church. And he seen her, he remembered her from the church. So he starts chasing her, following her home. And she started hollering and screaming and ran home to her mother. But her mother was like, what are you doing? So he told the young lady that they had kicked him out of the group home. Well, he called my mother, who was the pastor. The young man had nowhere to stay. The group home wouldn't take him back. They couldn't get a hold of his caseworker. So he stayed with us. We lived at home with my mom at the time. I was just finished college, but I was still at home. And so he stayed with us at our house the whole weekend. And it was really bad. They didn't even give him his medication. So you can imagine it was a rough weekend. And so this is what happened. They finally got a hold of the caseworker, and she was shocked that had happened. She didn't know. They couldn't get a hold of her all weekend. So she came over to our house to fill out some paperwork and everything so that he could get in a new group home. And so she was just telling my mother, she says, I am so tired. I'm so frustrated. This keeps happening. We don't have enough people. We don't have enough caseworkers to fill these positions. And she was just apologizing because she had been so overwhelmed. And so my mother said, oh, really? My mother said, wow. She said, my daughter applied for a job at that same place and she never got a call back. And she said, she did apply. She goes, when? She said, oh, about a year ago. She goes, let me go back to the office. I'm going to talk to my supervisor, and I'll promise you someone is going to call you because we desperately need help. She went back to the office, called her supervisor. They called me the next day to come in for an interview. I interviewed. It just so happens that the supervisor, her father was also a pastor many years ago in the same town where my father was a pastor, right down the street from my father's church. Now, you know good and well. And yes, that was a bonus. And I was hired in 4 days. I was like, what? What a weird way to get a job. Look at how God went through to get me a job, okay? And it was a career. But look what God did to open the door for me to get in position. And I'm going to tell y'all something. I was on that job for years, did a great job. I loved it. And y'all, things like that has happened to me several times. You can call it an accident. You can call it a freak of nature. Something weird happened that where something wonderful opened up for me. And it's like, what in the world? I'm telling y'all, there is no limit. God can use any situation to get you where you need to be and get you where you want to be. It may not be pretty. It may not happen like you want it. Let's say you went through a bad breakup. I mean, the love of your life left you, or you were just brokenhearted, or something happened, y'all just could not be together. And you look back and say, you know what? I'm glad that that did not pan out, because you don't know where you would be if it had. You know what I mean? It could have been the wrong situation anyway. Sometime, and let's be honest, sometimes we don't have sense enough to quit when we're supposed to. And we're going to hang in there. We're going to make it work. We're going to force it to work. We're going to do all that we can. I heard this was in the Tyler Perry movie, Diary of a Mad Black Woman. When his character told her, he said, sometimes we're trying to keep together what God is trying to break apart. Now, the Bible says what God has joined together, let no man put asunder. But y'all know some of this stuff God didn't join together. God didn't give you no other woman's husband. He didn't give you no other man's wife, not while they were still married. Now, let's tell the truth. Some of these situations, and listen, I've been in some situations, and I was like, ooh, I know I shouldn't have been in. I'm not going to lie. I ain't been a homewrecker, but I sure was trying one while. I was trying to be a homewrecker. And I'm going to tell you what happened to me. When I got married, guess what? Somebody was trying to wreck my home. So you reap what you sow. I was trying to break up an unhappy home. And honey, when I got married, later on, somebody was trying to break up my well, it was unhappy, but it was happy at one point. They was trying to break it up. I reaped that. And I was so upset. I was like, I know she didn't. And tried to come to my husband. And that thought came back to me. Aren't you the same one that tried to break up a young marriage? I was like, oh, Lord. In college, I did. I wanted that young man. He had just got married. I was like, well, you married the wrong one. But it wasn't my place to do that. And I reaped it. I'm like, oh, God. If that happens to you, if the Lord brings back to you a memory of something that you done that's now been done to you, whether it's through your children or whatever, you say, Lord, forgive me. I really didn't know how bad that was until it happened to me. I said, oh, God, please forgive me for doing that. That was ugly, and I'm sorry. Don't ever be the cause of someone else's unhappiness. If a marriage breaks up, don't let it be because of you. Okay? Don't let it be you. Now, if somebody's divorced and they moved on, okay, but don't you be the other woman. Don't you be waiting in the wings for it to go down. This is just wisdom for young ladies. Don't let it be because of you, because you will reap that. And if they left her for you, now you know good and well, now I know you think it wouldn't happen because he loves you so much. He left her for you. Oh, what honor. Honey, he left you for her. So come on now, as women of God, and let's just say just as women, we got to be smarter. We got to be better. Okay, you reap what you sow. You don't want your daughter to be in that position, okay? And you don't want to be in that position. You are so much better than that. You ain't nobody's side chick, baby. You are more. You are more than that. You are beautiful. The Bible says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. God made you as his wonderful, beautiful woman. You are smart, intelligent. And I don't know if anyone has ever told you, but honey, you are valuable to God. I don't care if life has told you you are invaluable or you've been treated like trash your whole life. Honey, God don't make no junk. People may not have recognized the value in you, but I promise you, you are valuable. Now you have to act like it. Know your worth. You are not trash. You are not a side chick. Know your worth. And you be the woman that God created you to be. And young men, you too. Pull up your pants, honey. You're going around sagging, looking a mess, and wondering why the police are following you. Look, pull them up. And I'm not saying that's the reason why they are, but look like you're going somewhere. Look like the man. You're headed for the future. You want to be somebody. The Bible says without a vision, the people die. That means they perish, they die. Because you don't know where you're going. And if you don't know where you're going, you'll do anything. Because you're not going anywhere anyway. You rob somebody, you go to jail for 40 years. You weren't doing nothing anyway because you have no vision. But when you got a hope and you got a future, you don't have time to waste time doing drugs and in gangs and robbing people, just doing something stupid, drinking and driving, just craziness, man. You don't have time for all that because you're going somewhere. All right, I love you. God bless you.